Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parila Jakcharya Ashtadara Satta Shri Shrima. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayo Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parila Jakcharya Ashtadara Satta Shri Shrima. His Divine Grace Shira Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Govindan Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagnapuri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. ISKCON Yudvagadam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Pramanandi Haribo Haribo. Oh, glory Sri Sambhari Varis Hare Krishna. Oh, glory Sri Sambhari Varis Hare Krishna. Oh, glory Sri Sambhari Varis Hare Krishna. Oh, glory to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudidayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavati Uddhamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 7, text number 38. Looks like there's some problem with the screen. Huh? So maybe I should just go ahead. Huh? Purushasya Cha Samstanam Sarupam Va Palasya Cha Jnanam Cha Naigamam Yat Tat Guru Shisha Prayojanam Purushasya Chasam Stanam Sarupam Va Parasya Cha Jnanancha Naigamam Yata Guru Shisha Prayojanam Purushasya Chasam Stanam Sarupam Va Parasya Cha Jnanancha Naigamam Yata Guru Shisha Prayojanam Purushasya Cha Samstanam Sarupam Va Parasya Cha Jnanancha Naigamam Yata Guru Shisha Prayojanam Purushasya Swarupam Va Parasya Cha Mataji. Purushasya of the divine entity. Cha also. Samsthanam existence. Swarupam identity. Va either or. Palasya of the supreme. Cha also. Jnanam knowledge. Cha also. Naigamam in the matter of the Upanishads. Yat that. Tat the same. Guru spiritual master. Shisha disciple. Prayojanam necessities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. What are the truths regarding the divine entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge in the Vedas? And what are the necessities for the spiritual master and his disciples? Purport. The divine entities are constitutionally servitors of the Lord who can accept all kinds of service from everyone. It is clearly declared in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29 that the Lord is the supreme enjoyer of the benefits of all sacrifices and penances, the proprietor of all that is manifested, and the friend of all living entities. That is his real identity. Therefore, when the living entity accepts this supreme proprietorship of the Lord and acts in that attitude, he resumes his real identity. In order to elevate the living entity to this standard of knowledge, there is the necessity of spiritual association. The bona fide spiritual master desires that his disciples know the process of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. And the disciples also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from a self-realized soul. To disseminate transcendental knowledge, one must retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. That is the sum and substance of all the questions in these verse. Om Jnana Timinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtan Stapitan Yena Buddhade Swayan Upakada Mahyan Tadati Swam Padanti Kam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Lakunata Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savatuta Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinna Bandhu Chakapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kamchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindava Nishwari Rishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakau Pataruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishvanebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasade Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare purushasya cha samsthanam swarupamva parasyacha jnanancha naigamam yatat guru shishya prayojanam. Translation again. What are the truths regarding the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific value in the knowledge in the Vedas, and what are the necessities for the spiritual master and his disciple? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he made a nice point saying that the living entities are constitutional servitors of the Lord. So it reminds me actually a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said here, Jivara Swarupahaya Krishna Nityadas Krishnena Tatasta Shakti Veda Veda Prakasha Suryamsa Kirana Yache Agni Jala Chaya Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Shaktihaya. Translation to this verse is, it is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because he is the marginal energy of Krishna and the manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. Like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire, Krishna has three varieties of energy. Srila Prabhupada said that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses as follows. Sri Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Who am I?" In answer, the Lord replies, you are a pure living entity. You are neither the gross material body nor the subtle body composed of mind and intelligence. So from here we could understand, actually we have two material bodies. One body is a gross material body made of 5 gross material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Another material body is called subtle body, which is made from intelligence, ego, a false ego, and mind. But the spirit soul is different from, is a roof actually from this two material body. And probably he further explained as follows: actually you are a spiritual soul, spirit soul, eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Krishna. Therefore, you are his eternal servant. You belong to Krishna's marginal potency. There are two worlds, the spiritual world and the material world. And you are situated between the material and the spiritual potencies. It's just like when you are on the beach, at the sea, in the ocean, you can see there is a urge where the water from the ocean can just reach. So that urge is actually the condition of our, conditioned soul. Is actually that's actually our situation. It's a marginal, because sometimes, we will be covered by the water, and sometimes we can come to the land. So sometimes we are situated in spiritual energy, and sometimes, and actually most of the time, we are covered by the material energy in this material world. Therefore, you are called marginal potency. You are related with Krishna as one and simultaneously different. Because you are spirit soul, you are one in quality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because you are a very minute particle of spirit soul, you are different from the Supreme Soul. Therefore, your position is simultaneously one and different from the Supreme Soul. The example given are those of the sun itself and the small particles of the sunshine, and of a blazing fire and the small particles of fire. Another explanation of this verse can be found in Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 96. It is also, actually Prabhu, he said in today's verse, he actually quoted a verse from the Bhagavad Gita that it's from the Bhagavad Gita. It's the 5th chapter, text 29. Prabhu, he quote this verse. Bhaktanam yakya tapashyam sava loka maheshwaram surhitam sava bhutanam gyatvamam shanti uchate. Translation to this verse is, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entity, attains peace from the pangs of material misery. So that's why Prabhu, he said here that the living entity, his constitutional position is actually his eternal servant of Krishna. And if we can understand this point, then there will be peace and harmony in this world. But unfortunately, the conditioned soul within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Man should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than him. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Svetasthara Upanishad, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishvanam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all their survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned soul are under the stringent rules of material nature. So unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. So Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entity, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. So one can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is actually the only way, for the peace of the whole world, Another important, point in the purport is, Srila Prabhu, he said that the disciple, one second, very interesting point, that the disciple also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from a realized soul. That means, we are trying to practice this spiritual life. In order to be successful, then you have to learn this science of Krishna consciousness from a self-realized soul. It is also confirmed here in the Bhagavad Gita. There's a very nice verse here describing this. Tat vidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas vadashana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Prabhu, he said in this verse that the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master. In the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. So for us, we are Vaishnavas, so we have 4 sampradayas. We have 4 Vaishnava sampradayas. Bhakta Amber, can you remember the 4 sampradaya? Can you tell us the 4 sampradayas? We have 4 Vaishnava sampradayas. What? Ruja sampradaya? What's that? Lakshmi sampradaya, Shri sampradaya, yeah. And then? Lord Brahma, yeah. That's where we are. We are from Lord Brahma. And then there's one more. Rucha Sampradaya, one from Lord Shiva. So actually, we are from Lord Brahma, this Sampradaya. Yeah. So we have 4 Vaishnava Sampradaya. So in order to become successful in the spiritual life, so we have to take shelter of a spiritual master from these 4 Sampradaya. Yeah. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and the person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretender. So I remember, my Guru, he was telling us a story that he had experienced when he was traveling in India. Because in India, many people, they are following a yogi called Sai Baba. Maybe many of you heard about his name. Because, Sai Baba, he can manifest some gold from his hand. From nowhere, he can manifest some gold in his hands like that. And he became attracted to so many, innocent people. People think, he can manifest gold in his hand. He must be God, worship him like anything. Yeah, but my Guru Maharaj was saying, there are so many gold in the gold mine, How much Sai Baba can manifest? Yeah, if he can manifest 1 ton or 10 tons of gold, then that's something. He's just cheating people like that, Yeah, but people in this age of Kali, they are so foolish. They want to be cheated like that, Yeah. The Bhagavatam 6:19 says, Dhammantu Saksha Bhagava Pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender. And one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. So it actually reminds me the story of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He wants to get initiation from his spiritual master, Gogishore Das Babaji. But, Gogishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he's feeling that he was not qualified to initiate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is coming from a very high-class family. His father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was actually a magistrate in the British government, in the government. Of course, in those days, the British, India was ruled by the British people. But he was the magistrate, in the government office. So, Gogishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he was feeling not qualified, to initiate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was so determined. He tried many times. He approached Gogishore Das Babaji many times, and Gogishore Das Babaji didn't agree. And finally, he told Maharaj, if you don't, and at the last he left very, like a very, distressed. He left like that. And at that time, Gogishore Das Babaji Maharaj was feeling there would be something wrong with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he followed him. And at the point that he saw that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is just ready to jump from the bridge to the river, he tried to commit suicide. He was so determined, Because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was feeling that if Maharaj, you don't initiate me, then my life is useless. Then better let me go and commit suicide. And then at that point, Gaurkishore Das Maharaj immediately called out, "Hey, please don't do that. I will give you an initiation. I will give you an initiation." Something like that, So you can see how sincere is a disciple, So one must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. So in this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get clear understanding from him. In submission and service not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So I just stop here. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much for coming. Gantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauranga Bhaktavinda ki jai. My pleasure.